This episode of Beyond the Closing is brought to you by First United Land Transfer.
Hey everybody, this is Lizzie from First United bringing you another episode of Beyond the Closing. With me today, I have Hilary Mancuso from Realty ONE Group Supreme, and we're just going to hang out today. So Hilary, thank you so much for coming today and joining me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You know, I love to chit-chat.
I know. Anytime we're together, we're literally just like talking the whole time. So
Absolutely.
I'm just really going to jump right into it. So how long have you been in real estate?
I'm in my fifth year being licensed right now. I got my license the end of 2019, and first transaction I ever did was the week COVID shut everything down. So I only know the weird, crazy time. Like, this is normal to me.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't go to my first walkthrough. I didn't go to my first settlement. Everything was, you know, drive up, drive through with title companies where if you weren't essential to signing something, you didn't go. So I kind of started off on the extreme end of things.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a good bit of varied experience throughout the, 5 years I've been doing this now. So I feel fortunate to kind of have that. I'm almost scared to know what just a normal market feels like for an agent.
Well, I was going to say, so obviously the market is crazy anytime. You can literally be anytime. You're going to hear the market is crazy, but this doesn't intimidate you or anything like that. Like, this is all normal what we're going through now with the market.
To me, it is. Oddly enough to say that. I mean, but is there really a normal, like, everything's always changing.
Right.
Like it used to be you'd hear there's a buyer's market and a seller's market. There's different times of years, the spring market. And like, none of that is kind of true anymore.
Everything is
been a seller's market for the 5 years that I've been in real estate. So, I think everything's constantly changing. Like, not having a normal, consistent, that is normal. No.
I think it's beneficial for you, though, to not know any different, right? Like, you're thriving.
You could always be doing better,
Sure.
and you could always be doing worse. I look at most days, and most things is somewhere in the middle. There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the exact stats are. I think I've heard a million times, somewhere, 20% of the agents do 80% of the business.
Sure.
And there's some other numbers like that go along with, if you're in it past, most don't make it past the first year. If you're in it 3 years, you're a little more solidified, and 5 years, oh, you're golden, you're good, kind of thing. So, yeah, I feel like I've been doing pretty good.
Well, I think that, so just like from the outside looking in, like I see you're thriving because we met because you just came to one of our the closing cafe chats. And that was the first time you were ever in one of our offices, correct?
Yeah.
So that right there, talk about putting yourself out there is like, that's thriving to me. Like, you're going and like chasing it and putting the work in and meeting people. And we literally became friends just from you going to that one closing cafe chat. And
you are still in my phone as Lizzie, new best friend, because I never put your last name down.
No, that's perfect.
No, I mean, honestly, you could be in real estate for 30, 40 years and still be learning new things with every transaction and everything that you're touching. I think there are no two things that are exactly the same. Even in a cookie cutter neighborhood, you're going to get differences with every transaction or whatever you do. And there's so many different paths and niches that you could, fall into, whether you are doing REOs or you're just, hey, first-time home buyers, whatever your standard residential lane is that most people will think of with real estate. But commercial, I mean, there's so many different things you can do.
Sure.
Yeah, I say a lot. I just realized.
No, it's okay. No, because there is so much. It is very diverse and everything.
I try to soak up knowledge wherever I can. I'm one of those agents that I don't think you're going to see any letters after my name because that's not my priority of putting them after there. But I love to take the courses, the ones that earn you letters or, and all of those behind your last name. But networking groups and, like your closing chat from the title company, investor meetups I've been going to recently. Like, you can never know enough people. It's good to know people. And you never know where you're going to learn new things and get information. So I try to every chance I get.
And that's so good. That has to be intimidating, though. Like, okay, so I take that back. I would be intimidated. Let me rephrase that. I would be intimidated. But you obviously...
I mean, I might get an odd moment here or there of that, but I have an extremely extroverted personality. And I have a friend who told me, she's like, Hilary, you could talk to a wall. Like, I literally, I'll go up and talk to anybody. If there's a neighbor outside, I'll pick their brain. Like, I don't know. I'm a people person, and
Yeah.
talking pretty much doesn't stop. So
I can respect it. And I do have
So
to
it's
say,
not- yeah.
whenever I do see your name on one of our RSVPs for the closing chat, I'm always like, yes, I'm glad she's coming because I know you're engaging. You're
Yeah.
going to make the conversation keep flowing. It's, it's easier to have somebody who converses back and forth with you rather than
Well, and there's
talking.
always questions to be asked, I think. I mean, I feel like I know a good amount of stuff, but there's, I like to say my brain works in highly unlikely hypotheticals. Like I go to, okay, well, what's the worst thing that could happen here? And how do we prepare this? So that's why I always end up with, questions. Whatever kind of guest speaker that you have there, you've had a variety so far that I've been to. And, there's always something I feel like I have a good takeaways from the the chat or
that's good to know. Good to know on our end for sure. But you're right though. There are so many things that you do ask the most engaging questions, and absolutely, and it's definitely beneficial for sure. So let me backtrack a little bit. Where are you from? Like the Lehigh Valley or?
So I actually grew up mainly in the Poconos.
Okay.
And around 2003, I moved to Arizona. I lived in Arizona for about 8 years.
Okay.
I'd gotten my associates from Allentown Business School when it did exist.
Yes.
And then moved out to go to a sister school in Arizona because it was just a lot shorter. I'm not one to sit. You can tell I talk a lot.
Sure.
So when I have to sit and just listen and know words, like I need the interaction. So the quicker I could get done with school, the better. But went out there and got my bachelor's. Met somebody out there that was actually from back here.
Okay.
Got married, had kids, so I lived out there for about 8 years, and after we had our second child, I moved back to the East Coast, and I wish I would have found real estate 20 years ago rather than 5 years ago. I absolutely love it,
Sure.
but it's definitely nice to be back in PA.
Yeah.
I've been back for about 13 years now.
Okay. How
on this
different
coast.
was
So-
Arizona though? How crazy! I've lived in Arizona once, Sedona, Arizona specifically.
Sedona is one of my favorite places ever. I used to live in the Valley, just
Okay.
the Valley, the Phoenix metro area.
Yeah.
Mostly the East Valley, but it's what everybody says. It's a dry heat.
Yes.
And there is an oven is a dry. It's still hot, but an oven is a dry heat. Stick your head in the door, stick your head in the oven, and it's it still hits you. But there's definitely a difference. Not a lot of bugs out there, which is nice.
Yeah.
There's no, for the most part, you're not going to come across mosquitoes. There's other creepy crawlies instead, but definitely some differences. So I loved it out there. I love it back here. Honestly, I would love to be a snowbird one day. Just
Real?
go there.
Okay,
Just
so you're ready to
go
just-
there in the winters, come back here in the summers when you avoid the heat.
Could you imagine?
Definitely.
Like that's ideal for sure.
Well, there's so many people out there that do that already. They're snowbirds. I mean, that's.
I never heard that phrase before.
Really?
I've never heard that.
I don't know if
didn't
any
even
other
realize.
states use the same term or not, or if there's different ones for Florida maybe
Yeah.
or other states. I'm not sure if they have different terminologies, but yeah, I'd
It
love to be a
definitely
snowbird.
is. So the Red Rock in Sedona, Arizona, like
It's beautiful up there.
so pretty. And when you compare it to here, I mean, here is gorgeous too, but like, especially when you're going through like the mountains and you see, but it's for somebody who's never been out there, it's so hard to describe, like when you're just driving and.
I like to say, so it kind of hit me, and I've been saying it this way ever since. I was on a plane, to visit back here shortly after I'd moved there, and it kind of hit me that out in, more like the desert light areas, Midwest, whatnot, or I guess West. Arizona, Southwest. I don't even know. My brain is a little discombobulated here. It's basically scenery. Everything is brown. Like I could not paint anything brown for like years after I moved back because I was so sick of seeing brown. Everything out there, it's scenic. Everything is scenery, but it's all a brown tone. And everywhere else, it's greenery. Scenery and greenery. It's kind of the differences, but
Perfect.
There's
Scenery and greenery.
But like I said, the Red Rock area, one of my favorite places. If anybody hasn't been and ever has the chance to go, there's a little. I don't know if it's a town, Oak Creek Canyon, right outside of Sedona. It's just up 89A, I think. And there is Slide Rock. It's that natural rock water slides.
Okay.
It's a really cool place to visit if anybody's up there.
Can you go down them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And have you done that?
Yes.
Did you? Okay.
I mean, a long time ago. But
Sure,
yes.
don't get me wrong, but how crazy was that? Just like experiencing.
It's a very cool experience, definitely. I know there's a couple other places, at least in the country, that there are also the natural rock water slides. But yeah, Sedona, I would love to.
I know that's like one of my favorite places. I was there. We went to the Four Corners, and I was I was in my maybe like 15, 16. So I was, first time I ever was on a plane or, doing anything. Wow. I was totally like just in awe and terrified at the same time of just everything. But if there's one place that I could go back to, like with my family now as an adult, it would definitely be like Sedona, Arizona. I just think it's so gorgeous.
Yeah, I agree.
And Absolutely. It's like, it's definitely different than Pennsylvania, like we said. So, So you grew up in like the Poconos, you said, and now are you back to the Poconos, or where are you?
I'm in Quakertown, so
okay.
I'm kind of, I'm going to say centrally located-ish for Eastern PA.
Yeah.
I pretty much will drive anywhere for clients I'm working with. I know the Poconos from having grown up there. I lived in Percy almost the last 10 years. I'm only about 10 minutes north of that now in Quakertown. Yeah. But I have family down in, the southern part of Bucks County.
So you have a wide range.
I do. I like to just say roughly that I cover the eastern third of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
No, don't get me wrong. There are areas that are a little bit too far. I'd love to stick within an hour if I can of my, drive radius. But if for referrals come my way or clients that I'm already working with, I'll pretty much drive wherever they want. I've gone about 2 hours out. It's
and you have no problem then learning learning what's out there as far as like the schools and everything like that to give them the best experience, the best knowledge that you can provide.
Absolutely. I take it as it comes with whatever clients and what they need, and I'm always very upfront with folks. I like people to know exactly where I'm at, what my knowledge base is, and most of all, I like people to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So if I don't know something, I'm going to tell you I don't know, but we'll find out as long as you're okay with that. And if there's ever seems to be, a client that's maybe not comfortable or would like somebody who's got a better knowledge because it's an area maybe I don't frequent, then we'll figure that out. And I'm, not above referring out or finding an agent that's going to be a good fit. So definitely, it really just depends on the client. So I'm willing to do whatever the client would like for the most part. So it's more, I'm happiest if I have happy clients that felt like I've done a good job for them. It's not necessarily about, all realtors do it for a paycheck.
Sure.
But it's not about the paycheck itself. It's about making sure you have happy clients. That's where referrals come from. That's where you have to think of kind of the long game. So
no, that's good to know for sure, though, at least that. Because having that wide range is great. Obviously, it's beneficial. You want to be helpful, but also knowing that you want to put their needs first. And, if somebody feels a little bit more comfortable with somebody who may know an area a bit more than you wouldn't be offended.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I would say, there are a few areas, obviously where I lived and where I have lived before that I know very well.
Yeah, of course.
And there is a lot of areas that I know a little bit about. And it's enough to be able to say, hey, I'm very open with, here's my experience with this area. This is what I know, this is what I don't. What do you need? What do you want to know? And it's about guiding and advising your client. You don't necessarily have to know every little thing about.
Right.
But every client needs something different too. So it's communication. Really. That's everything boils down to good communication, I think.
And that's life in general. Communication is by far the most important thing, I feel, at least.
And if you can't tell, I'm an over-communicator. So I like to tell clients, I give a few little disclaimers usually in advance of, I can take 5 minutes and stretch it into 30 in the snap of a finger. And, so my personality is what it is. I know I talk a lot, and most people are good with that and usually are kind of happy with it.
Sure.
I tell clients, I'm going to give you more info than you ever asked for until you tell me not to. It's kind of so.
Has anybody ever told you to stop?
I've only ever had one client, and I also won't tell people what to do. I've only ever had one client go to me, Hilary, I know you're not going to tell me what to do, but can you just please tell me what to do? I didn't, but I'll give advice, but they're making the decisions. I always want, everybody is at a different knowledge level, a different comfort level. And my goal is to help them understand things. The better you understand something, the more comfortable you are with it. Because I never want somebody to come back and be like, Hilary, why did you let me, make this decision? I didn't know these things. I never want to be in that position. So I always, until a client says, I'd like this or I'd like that, mine is, I'm going to give you all the information you never asked for.
Well, that's good. A confident decision is an informed decision.
Yes, I
So
agree.
that's definitely, I wholeheartedly can support that without a doubt, because that's how I'm the exact same way. I want to make sure I know earlier you said before we were filming, like, I'm indecisive, Lizzie. I can be indecisive. I'm the exact same way. So if I'm making a decision, I want to know everything I need to know to make this confident decision in anything, especially, when you're purchasing a house or selling, even if you're selling your house. Like, is it the right time? Is it, what your goals are and everything? It's a lot to do.
I try to personally play devil's advocate and give folks different ways to look at things that maybe they haven't, just to kind of check off all the boxes and make sure, again, I never want somebody to be unhappy after the fact. I mean, you can't guarantee anything. There's always, I've had clients before, actually I've had one client specifically before that moved to an area, and I've talked to them, a year or two after they moved, and they're like, I hate it here. I hate this area. I mean, nobody could have, it's not something you could have planned for.
Exactly.
It's just, so that you can't necessarily cover every single base. But,
sure. I mean, you have to just figure it out too. Like, that's one of those things, like, nobody is intentionally going to move to a place that they, don't care for. So I'm sure that's one in a million, but you're right. You have to just, how do you know? There's nothing you could have done to know. And they obviously didn't hold it against you.
No, they're repeat clients, so they're definitely, but it's just goes to show, like, you can't ever necessarily check every single box, but can do my best.
Well, and you said earlier that you always try to come up with the scenarios, like the what if scenarios, like when we're at our closing chats, like you ask like the questions and everything.
Highly unlikely hypotheticals is what I do, because this way I find. I try to pick everybody's brain wherever I can. So if I'm at a home inspection, or maybe there's, it could just be a service provider, radon guy giving an estimate, or, any particular person involved. If I'm there, even an appraiser, I will be careful in how I say or what I ask. I might ask things in a general or vague way and not about the specific property. So I find that the more carefully I word questions in a situation, usually I'll actually get a better answer. Okay. Because they're not answering about the specific, they're not giving me something I'm going to hold them to, but they give me enough to go on where I can.
The knowledge that maybe needed.
So I try to, I don't think I ever stop asking questions. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I don't think it is at all. So now let me go a different direction here. How do you balance professional life with personal life? Like, how do you keep that balance there? Because it can be hard.
I could say I do or I don't. It all depends on what you consider balance. My life and my schedule is a bit wonky, but it's kind of... I look at things as it's a work harder now, so I don't have to work as hard later. Okay. And, I'm not sure. I'm one of the first brokerage I started at used to call it a dual career, but I'm what you would call a dual career agent, I guess. Okay. So I do real estate full time. I don't ever. It drives me nuts when people hear that I have another job and they go, "Oh, you do real estate part time?" And I go, "No,
no, I'm in it. This is
it's full time. I mean, unless you sell one house a year to family or friend, or you really don't actively do anything with clients, it's full time. Yeah, I don't add up the hours I put into real estate, and I probably don't want to know what my It's not about that for me. But I have another full-time job that I work. I work overnights in a warehouse. Okay. And I specifically work on overnights because it doesn't affect my availability and my flexibility for clients. So any other age, I might be a little tired sometimes. And I'm very upfront with all my clients about this as well, because I pride myself on being responsive. And, I don't ever want somebody to think I'm ignoring them if it just was, hey, I was sleeping.
Right, so exactly.
Balancing things is a bit tricky. I like to say that I live on naps. I kind of catch up sleep on my days off, and I'm a little all over the place, but it works.
I can say from personal experience with you, though, until you told me, I think it was just the last time that you were in our office, I had no idea that you had another full-time job, because you never ever gave anything. Like, I thought you were just solely in real estate, because you've attended so many of our events, so many, different chats. Anytime I've ever needed you, or like we've spoken, you've always been so responsive. So I never once would have thought, not that it's a bad thing whatsoever. If anything, it's, kudos to you, because you do put the real estate there. And I think it's important that people do know that, and that you are upfront with that.
Well, and so with real estate, and this is one of the things I love about real estate, is that it's never going to be boring. And there's so many different personalities and different I'm going to say routes that you can go to do it. Yeah. There isn't just the option to only do it full time or not do it full time, and full time is, you get agents that, might put 20 hours in a week and they call it full-time, and
Sure.
agents that put 60 hours in a week. Like, their full-time is kind of just, it's a label you could throw out there, but it's different for every realtor.
Right.
And for me, I keep the other full-time job because it provides things that real estate doesn't. And I choose to be sleepy rather than stressed.
Sure.
So I have benefits. I have 401k. I have a consistent paycheck, whether or not it's what you know what I mean? And then I look at real estate as the main thing, but
Right.
the other one provides a vehicle for me to not be stressed and not be that agent that goes, where's the next transaction coming from? I never want to be that agent if I can help it. It's always, I can work with a client, and maybe I've had ones that are, hey, first property, first offer, they get it, they close. That doesn't happen that often.
Right.
So whether it's 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. I've had clients that I've worked with for literally 2 years, and everybody has different circumstances, different things. So I'm never going to be that pushy agent that's like, all right, is it time? Like, oh, you're not going any, like, it takes however long it takes.
I think that shows, though, that you are in real estate, like, for a passion and not just, for the paycheck, like you said, as simple as that. Like, you do it because you want to do it, and like, you are passionate about it, which I think shows, especially with everything you just said there, which is, good to know for sure. I would want somebody who's passionate about, helping me and not just trying to force me. And not saying that any agents are forceful. That's not what I mean at all. But do you know what I mean? Like,
I do. I usually describe it to my clients because when I'm talking to a new buyer or new seller or anything like that, I always say, and just as I say with, title and insurance and mortgage, any other branch of the transaction that you're working with, you should be able to feel like you fit with who you're working with.
Right.
And I tell them, I said, don't ever let anybody tell you have to use so-and-so because that's who they, mainly are affiliated with or have a lot of, partnered with a lot of transactions with or whatever. But interview a couple people, interview a few different things. But mainly, you want to be able to trust who you're working with. You want to be confident that they're doing the best for you. And you want to feel like you, again, I like comfortable is the word that I keep using because that's what I like to be. So I like other people to be comfortable as well.
Right.
But if you're working with, again, whether it's an agent, if they can't answer questions or can't explain things to you in a way that you understand it, like, personally, I talk in analogies half the time, and I try to explain things at the simplest level I can because I find if I can do that, then almost anybody I'm talking to is going to be able to understand.
And when you're doing something in real estate, I think that's like an amazing way to be because it is scary. It's intimidating when you're buying a house. Like, I mean, we're in the process right now. I'm literally working in the industry. My fiance and I are in the process of looking for a house, putting offers in and searching. And I'm still like, my mind is like, oh my gosh, what am I doing half the time? And I have a great agent who I'm working with. Like, and it's nothing personal against anybody, obviously, but it's a lot.
It's finding somebody that you fit with and who you feel like is doing the best job for you that you can. But there are so many different personalities out there. I mean, I don't often come across somebody who's like, Hilary, oh my God, you annoy the hell out of me. Or this you're too much information. I just need bullet points. But there are people out there. Everybody needs something different. And so there are agents that are very much, they might be pushy in some way, but it's a matter of fact, like they just know what they know. They've done it a long time, and if this is what you want, they might be the opposite version of me, or opposite end of the spectrum as me in terms of here's just bullet points. Like they don't have to explain anything unless somebody asks them to. So again, but you get agents that are every different personality across the board, which it can be frustrating at moments, but I think it's a wonderful thing because, again, it's always interesting.
It's good to have a variety of people, though, because, like you said, everyone isn't for everyone. So to have that spectrum and everything like that, it is good because you want to make sure you fit with who you fit and everything.
Exactly. And like I said, it's whether somebody's buying an $80,000 house or $1 million house, like it's a big purchase.
Yes.
No matter where you are and what your budget level is. And so everybody should get the same level of service, the same, attention,
and feel comfortable.
Exactly.
So now, if anybody, speaking of, I feel like this is the perfect transition. If anybody does feel like you're the best fit for them and they would like to reach out to you, before we wrap it up, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
You can always call, text, email. Texting is the best way to get me because there often might be a time where I cannot pick up the phone. But texts, that'll be the most prompt response that you're going to get. And I always, one of the things I tell most clients, so I'll just throw it out there, is my phone number, it's an Arizona phone number because I've had it for like 20 years. I'll probably never get rid of it. So a lot of people, if you don't put me in your phone, you might think I'm a spam call that comes.
I remember you telling me that. When you say that right now, I remember you saying I have an Arizona phone number. And it makes sense. I didn't think about it at the time when you told me and we like swapped numbers or anything like that, but it does make sense.
Yeah. I mean, all the spam calls I get are from Arizona. So if I see a 480 area code, I just decline it. But anybody else, pick it up. It might be me.
And they can get your number off of social media then. You're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, and they'll just search Hilary Mancuso, and then there you are.
Yeah, no, so texting is the best way, but I will always try. I'm a talker, and so texting does limit and keep it to the precise information that we might want to cover, but I'm not opposed to talking on the phone either. Just know that it can go on longer than you realize.
That sounds
so yeah. But one of the things like I tell my clients, because I do work an overnight job in a warehouse, I'm also one of those agents. It's probably like a double-edged sword. Like I'm probably not doing myself any favors, but I also don't really keep a lot of boundaries hours-wise because of the way I work. So I tell clients, like I do have clients that work on different shifts sometime, and I say, if you're up at 3 a.m. scrolling through Zillow and you find something you like, text me. If I'm awake, I'll probably respond to you, or within a few hours. I have in the middle of my shift when I'm on breaks or something, I've written clients offers in the middle of the night and done things like I will work when I'm working. It's kind of, I make things work time-wise whenever it needs to. So I'm trying to be efficient with my time and squeeze every minute out of the day that I can.
No, that's good to know, though. Like, nobody feels like they have boundaries, that they're limited to messaging you. I'm one of those people. I will not text somebody unless it's like family or whatever. But like between certain times or anything like that. Yeah. But it's good that you put that out there. That like, no, like you're up and
in my phone, I always keep it on silent just because of the other job. Because if I'm with clients, so it lives on silence. Nobody's going to wake me up if I'm sleeping.
Sure.
You can text me. It's just if I don't respond right away, I might be sleeping, and I work around. I put things on my calendar, so it's worked for me so far, and hopefully continues to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I'm excited to see where everything takes you and everything, and I just want to say thank you so much for coming in to chat with me today, and give a little bit of your experience. And I know I'll be seeing you at future Closing Cafe chats and everything. So
I love coming to them. As long as you have them, I will be here.
Sounds good. Perfect. Well, thank you again so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
That's another episode of Beyond the Closing. We'll see you soon.